Am I right or wrong? Even offered me a ride in that balloon. But I told him I don't have time to mess around with balloons. I'm out selling houses, dude. You with me? See, it always bothers me something when someone's got to tell the world how great they are. That's why I like Polo Baker. You guys go out and show the world. Big difference there. Big difference. You with me? Big difference. The 8th point I want to talk to you about here, gang, is that I've protected your commissions. I promised Tim, I didn't really promise him this. I said, Tim, if I'm going to come down, you got to make me one promise. He said, what's that? I said, you got to let me share some commission stuff with them. Because, gang, I'm going to tell you honestly, this industry is the greatest industry in the world. Make no mistake about it. And there's a bunch of people that are out there screwing this industry up. And there's an old saying where I come from, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. You with me? And I get real tired of people that don't appreciate this industry that we have. Don't get me wrong, I don't know if I was destined to be here with you today, but I graduated high school with a 51. Okay? I'm not proud about that. I'm trying to push my son to go to college and university. He says, well, Dad, I just want to be a realtor like you. I said, you will be after you go to college, son. Because I said, back in those days, it was a different time. My father had a grade 8 education, that's all he needed. I needed a grade, you with me? Things have changed. But if you take a look at industries out there, that's only the way they can compete is by cutting commissions, by cutting price and cutting value, then what will happen is they'll reach a point where they won't need us. Because you can only cut so much, gang, and then you're cutting services. You're cutting service, you're cutting service, you're cutting service. You follow me? Give you the greatest example in the world. I belong to every airline loyalty program there is. Because I got no loyalty to any of them. You're going to give it to me for free, I'll take a card. But I used to book, you know, if it was that air, whatever, United, I'd wait an extra hour in the city because I was a United 100K or whatever it was. United treated me so bad over the years, I thought, you know what, you don't deserve my loyalty, man. Give me the one with the best flight time, with the best price, I can get to the next city. Am I right or wrong? Okay? And what happens is they get themselves into financial problems because the only way they can compete is then by what? Giving stuff away. Anyhow, when we're talking about commissions, I promised Tim I wanted to teach you 5 specific ways to protect commissions. The first one is what I call the Nancy Reagan technique. Now this gets plugged into the step 5 of the objection handling. Am I clear on that? Yes or no? Okay. So the first one is just saying no. Now, you can't just say no, you got to do it with some style. Now Rick, work with me a little bit here. Look up here, gang, and watch. Say, Rick, the meeting's gone well, you're going to go ahead and listen with me, but you want me to do it for 5 instead of 6. Okay, so just ask me to do 5 instead of 6. So Rick, I just need you to okay it right there for me, please, and please press hard as Chief Carter. So go ahead. Say, Mark, will you do, go ahead. You mean like cut my commission from 6 to 5? Oh, no. But you have any other questions before we get started? Okay, now do you see the technique? It's not just delivering the words. Do you see that he's asked me a question? It's like, this doesn't quite make sense. Did you see the, okay, and then you mean like, oh. Do you have any other questions before we get started? So first it's confusion, then it's acknowledgement, then it's smile to relieve the pressure from the balloon, and then do you have any other questions? You see, so it's not the specific technique, it's the delivery of it as much as anything else. Does that make sense to you, yes or no? Yes. Okay, the second one might be the morals technique. And the morals technique might sound something like this. I'd say, Rick, let me ask you something. Where do you work? Well, I work for AT&T. Okay, well, what do they pay you? Well, they pay us $25 an hour, Mark. Okay, so if you work for 40 hours this week, they're going to owe you $1,000. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, well, how would you feel if you went in and they only wanted to pay you $700 from now on? You'd say, no way. In fact, I'd get a hold of the union. Heck, we may strike AT&T worldwide over my wage. Am I right or wrong? You say, well, why? Well, I'm going to do a full job. I expect a full pay, Mark. You say, well, let me ask you something then. Why would you ask me to do a full job for you, but only want to give me a part time? See the facial? Sales is all about visual. You're buying the package. Buying the company, they're buying you, they're buying the presentation. It's not one part. It's got to be the whole package. It's like, which is more important, flour and water or yeast in making bread? I can't tell you that. Yeast is the smallest portion, but it could be the most what? But you certainly could do it without flour and water. Okay? So to do it, you've got to put the package together. So I'd say, well, let me ask you something. If you want to do a full job and only take a part pay, why would you ask me to do something? And they said, well, listen, it's my money. That's AT&T's. This is my money we're talking about now. So then I would go to the old real estate game. Say, let me ask you something. If I can prove to you beyond a shadow of doubt that paying a 6% versus 5%, well, let me say it to you this way. What if I said to you right now, I'll put 5% down on that listing? Will you go ahead and sign it? And most people would say what? Yes. Yeah, okay, well, I won't. That's called a trial close. See, a lesser agent than myself would just change it to 5, get the listing tonight, and end up having it hurt you without you even knowing it would hurt you. You see, Mr. and Mrs., that's not how I do business. That's not what's allowed me to be in business. Now, after you understand all the facts, if you still want to go with 5 and you make that decision yourself, then I'm okay with that. But it's my job to explain it to you first. So could I show you why it's not in your best interest, yes or no? Yes. Okay, were you aware that the average realtor will sell about 5 houses this year? Know your own statistics for your board, but it's not much different than ours. You take 5 times 6,000, means the average agent will earn about $30,000. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Yeah, not bad. Well, out of that 30, 1/3 will go to their company, which is 10, which is left with, leaves them with 20. Out of that 20, they got MLS dues, they got special car insurance, they got newspaper, etc. You can build your own expenses. Now, let me ask you something. Would you agree with me, Mr. and Mrs., there's an awful lot of hungry realtors out there? Yes. Okay, well, let me ask you this question then. Let's assume on this sheet of paper, there's 6 houses that you're going to show. One of your 5 buyers are coming in today. In other words, you're the realtor. One of your 5 buyers are coming in today, and they're definitely buying a house. You've got some here at 4, you've got some here at 5, you've got some here at 6. Be honest with me, Mr. and Mrs. Would you try to sell the 4% listings first? I can't hear you. All right, how about the 5% first? No, you wouldn't, but remember, Mr. and Mrs., that would have been your house. Even you wouldn't show your own house first. You try to sell the 6% listing first, is that correct? Can I ask you why? Make more money. You see, Mr. and Mrs., don't get me wrong when I say this. My job is not only to get your house sold, but my job is to get you to make the right decisions in that selling process. Because I do this every day. Now, I know there's other agents out there that'll take it at 5. Heck, I can refer you to some that'll do it for 4 and 3. But my question to you is this. Do you want to sell your house tonight for the most amount of money in the least amount of time? Or do you want to list your house for sale and hope someone comes along? You want to sell it or list it? Because there's a big difference between the two. See, Mr. and Mrs., I know there's other agents, they just would have took that listing, but the truth is this, the reason I'm in the business